Welcome to the channel, where history isn't just remembered, it's dissected. Today, we venture deep into the heart of one of the most feared powers of the ancient world, the Neo-Assyrian Empire. Renowned for its military dominance between the 10th and 7th centuries BC, the Assyrians didn't just conquer, they terrified. But what made their warfare tactics so brutal and so effective? Let's explore the intricate, calculated, and often horrifying mechanisms that allowed Assyria to dominate the ancient Near East for nearly 3 centuries. The Assyrian war ethos wasn't born overnight. Rooted in a volatile Mesopotamian landscape surrounded by hostile powers, the early Assyrians centered around Ashur, knew survival meant militarization. By the time of Tiglath-Pileser III in the 8th century BC, the Assyrian army had transformed into a state-sponsored war machine. The Assyrian military was the first truly professional standing army in recorded history. This wasn't a part-time militia, it was a full-time force, supplied and salaried by the state, with specialization in cavalry, chariots, infantry, and siege warfare. The Assyrians understood something modern strategists still emphasize. Warfare is as psychological as it is physical. From the very start of a campaign, they waged information warfare. Before armies marched, emissaries delivered terms of surrender, alongside stories of mass executions and cities burned to ash. And if resistance followed, the consequences were choreographed for maximum impact: impalements along roads, pyramids of severed heads, nobles flayed alive and their skins nailed to city walls. This wasn't savagery for its own sake. It was methodical terror, a reputation crafted and maintained to prevent future rebellion. When diplomacy or fear failed, the Assyrians brought out their siege arsenal. They pioneered some of the earliest examples of organized siegecraft. Their engineers constructed massive siege towers, built ramps of earth, and used battering rams with protective coverings. At Lachish in 701 BCE, Sennacherib's army executed a textbook siege. His scribes immortalized the assault in intricate stone panels, showing wall breaches, impaled prisoners, and systematic deportations. It wasn't just about taking a city, it was about sending a message etched in stone. While brutality earned fear, logistics earned victory. The Assyrians maintained detailed supply chains: grain, water, arms, supported by a vast network of depots and relay stations. Mounted couriers could deliver messages across the empire at remarkable speeds, a sort of proto-postal system that kept the king informed and in control. Intelligence network spies, scouts, and informants preceded each campaign. Before the arrows flew, the Assyrians often knew the strengths and weaknesses of their enemy. One of Assyria's most effective and less visibly violent tactics was mass deportation. After each conquest, entire populations were uprooted and resettled across the empire. The goal wasn't just punishment, it was destabilization. By shuffling ethnic groups, Assyria reduced the risk of localized revolt while populating underdeveloped regions with skilled labor. Over 4 million people were estimated to have been deported during the Neo-Assyrian period. Assyrian warfare wasn't just on the battlefield, it was an art, language, and ideology. The king wasn't just a ruler, he was divinely appointed, the living instrument of the god Ashur's wrath. War campaigns were commemorated not just with trophies, but with vast narrative reliefs, inscriptions, and temples, propaganda tools reinforcing the image of an unstoppable, sacred empire. To modern viewers, the Assyrian war machine appears nightmarishly cruel. But historians caution against anachronism. In a world where conquest was survival, Assyria's brutality was not unique, but its scale and systematization were. And yet, the Assyrians wrote their legacy in fear, and it worked. Their empire became the largest in the world until that time. But as with all empires built on violence, the fear eventually turned inward. The Assyrian Empire's brutal warfare tactics weren't simply acts of rage. They were part of a meticulously designed state apparatus of control, conquest, and psychological dominance if history is written by the victors. Then the Assyrians chiseled theirs in blood and stone. And while their empire crumbled in the 7th century BC, their influence on military strategy, propaganda, and statecraft reverberates even today. If you found this deep dive into ancient warfare fascinating, don't forget to like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments, should we tackle the Persians next? Or perhaps Hannibal's logistics in the Alps?